Take a word like radar or a phrase like madam. We recognize these as palindromes, words or sentences that read exactly the same backward as they do forward. But standard palindromes have a built-in limitation. Reading them in reverse is ultimately a closed loop. You are just tracing your steps backward to hear the exact same idea repeated to you. But consider this. What if reading a sentence in reverse didn't echo the original text, but instead produced a completely different, coherent story? While this sounds like a linguistic impossibility, a single human mind actually achieved it at the scale of an entire epic. This text is called the Raghavaya Divyam. It is a 17th century manuscript written by the poet Venkatadvari in the temple city of Kanchipuram, South India. The poem consists of 30 precisely engineered Sanskrit verses. Sanatana Dharma scholars revere this text because of one highly specific property. If you read it straight through, it tells the story of Lord Rama. But if you read the exact same text backward, it narrates the life of Lord Krishna. A traditional religious saga simultaneously operates as an interactive 60-verse mathematical puzzle, stretching the limits of how language can function. The book's dual nature is mapped out directly in its title. Raghava refers to Rama, Yadava points to Krishna, and Iyam means saga. Literary scholars categorize texts like this as Anuloma Viloma Kavya, which roughly translates to forward and backward poetry. We'll start by reading along the forward path, the Anuloma. The very first verse of the manuscript begins with the phonetic string Vandeham Devam Tam Shritam Rantaram. Read in this standard direction, the translation opens by praising Lord Rama, holding his wife Sita in his heart. The verse lays out the immediate plot of his journey, crossing the Sayadri Mountains, arriving in Lanka, and defeating Ravana. Those carefully arranged syllables successfully launch a condensed, accurate telling of the Ramayana. But the moment you finish reading that story, the underlying architecture of the book requires a complete reversal. By extracting the entire first verse and reading it in reverse, syllable by syllable, the text physically transforms. The previous line reconstructs into a brand new phonetic sequence, opening with Sevadyeyo Ramalali Gopyaravi. This newly formed string yields an entirely different translation, a direct homage to Lord Krishna, adored by his wife Rukmini and the gopis. To make this work, Venkadavi selected phonetic components that held completely different meanings depending on the direction you read. By maintaining this constraint through the entire manuscript, the initial 30 verses generate a total of 60 distinct narrative stanzas. The literal physical act of rewinding the text reveals a completely separate epic that was hidden in plain sight. Why would an author subject themselves to the grueling effort of designing a text this way? Within Sanatana Dharma theology, Rama and Krishna are both earthly avatars of the same ultimate divine source, Vishnu. Weaving their two stories into a single bi-directional string of text is a literal structural manifestation of their spiritual unity. In the 17th century, Venkatadvari composed this entire work by hand, managing the rigid phonetic constraints of Sanskrit to ensure every syllable functioned as a dual-purpose gear. Because of this complexity, the Raghavaya Divyam is often described by scholars as the first of the 7 wonders of the literary world. The book stands as a record of the poet's devotion and the linguistic versatility of the Sanskrit language.